Stay tuned for the Joan Quinn Profiles. Joan served the state of California as a member on the Arts Council and on the Film Commission. She was formerly on the Architectural Commission and fulfilled 2 terms on the Fine Arts Commission for the city of Beverly Hills. As an editor for Andy Warhol's Interview magazine, Condé Nast Publications, and the Hearst Corporation, Joan covered the world of fashion, the mysteries of food, the excitement of theater, and the international art scene. She continues to find people who are on the cutting edge of their professions. Here's Joan Agajanian Quinn.
Hi, I'm Joan Quinn, and welcome to the Joan Quinn Profiles. We're taping here at the Hollywood Museum in the historic Max Factor building on Highland Avenue in the heart of Hollywood. And our guests are actor Joshua Silverstein and director-actress Katie McLean. Director, choreographer, actor, writer, Joshua Silverstein was born and raised in Culver City, my favorite city.
Oh, good.
I love Culver City.
So I win.
Right. And graduated from Hamilton High.
I did.
Hamilton, which is on Broadway right now.
It is.
And
Nice.
attended the Academy of Entertainment and Technology. I don't know what that is, so he's going to have to tell us.
Okay.
He's been on a number of stages and has a web series with Joe Kolsky. He and his director, producer, are tackling a very powerful play right now called Tell Me I'm Pretty.
Mm-hmm.
It's very difficult, I guess, huh?
It is.
So, Culver City's my favorite city.
It is.
Do you think that they're culturally advanced?
Do I think the city of Culver City is culturally advanced?
Yeah, because, you know, they have...
I don't know that LA is culturally advanced, so I feel like maybe... I think that it's pop culture advanced.
What about, I think it has this cultural hub of art galleries and restaurants and, pop, I guess what you're saying,
I think
right?
it's pop because I don't know how culture, when I think of culture, I guess I'm spoiled into thinking that culture has to have a defined history. And I think Culver City or LA is constantly in a facelift mode. So it's always...
Culver City is too, right?
Yeah,
except they have those old film studios
They
there.
do. They're still there.
So there's some history.
But the art galleries are new, and they're probably going to be there for a few years, and they'll get torn down and be built into something else.
And the restaurants keep changing.
Keep changing. So I don't know how permanent this is.
And the film and the movie theater is now the Kirk Douglas Theater. Okay.
You know, and Lucille Ball's theater got split up into various theaters. So it's, you know, there is a culture, I think, cemented into the fabric of Culver City, but I don't think people know about it.
But we can still love it.
I love it.
Okay. Hamilton High.
Yeah.
Big auditorium.
Very big.
Lots of stuff going on.
Norman P.
Norman Pattis Auditorium.
Yeah.
Huge.
Yeah.
Did you ever
I did.
perform on the stage?
I did. I'm trying to think about ways I can talk about Hamilton without throwing teachers under the bus. So I definitely did several productions in the theater. The ones that I did were produced by a friend of mine and myself. So we were kind of rebels.
You mean on the stage in high school?
Yeah, we were like, we don't want to do your shows. So we did our own.
Oh, well, good for you.
Our own versions.
Were they accepted?
They were great.
Oh, they were great, but were they accepted?
People loved them, and we did them. And as a matter of fact, some of the productions we did led certain students to pursue acting as a career.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you. How did you get interested in acting?
I think that my story is probably convoluted in that I always performed.
Oh,
I was always a child performer, and I'm an only child, so I did lots of stuff at home.
Your mother had to watch
My
you.
parents were like, let him do it. Just let him get it all out of his system.
Right.
And so I've always been that kind of kid. And growing up in LA, where everyone's into entertainment, I just kind of fell into the mold. Went to theater camp.
Oh, you did.
What
is the school you went to?
So the Academy of Entertainment and Technology is in Santa Monica, and it's a kind of it's a focus school. So you take classes that you really are interested in. It's a kind of a fast track.
And so you're a choreographer. Did you take dance classes?
My mom taught dance for many years.
Okay, we go back to is there a show business or acting in your family?
So my parents did do theater growing up in high. They're also from Los Angeles.
Oh,
So
they are.
They went to LA High School, met there. They were both in theater programs in high school. So it is in my blood. And
So your mother taught dance?
my mom
What
taught
kind of
dance. She taught modern jazz for many years, and back in the 70s and 80s.
And in LA,
In
Culver
LA,
City?
and at Van Nuys High School.
Oh, she
actually,
did?
Fairfax, then Van Nuys High School.
Oh, wow.
So she did that. She won many awards for her programs in high schools and her dance shows, and so that was always in the
So
in the
you
blood.
knew how
knew how to
what
move.
to do.
I knew how to move.
Choreography. You know how to move people
I did.
around.
I
right?
did. I
Right.
did and still do. And then and my father sang in the choir at church, and so art was always around in the house.
But you have the voice and you
I-
have the dance.
And I do. And
Okay.
I do.
And
yeah.
so that's what you're doing on stage,
I
right?
am. I'm moving and speaking.
But listen,
Yeah.
dance,
Yeah.
choreography, acting.
yeah.
Did you have a band?
So I have a band
Oh,
in my
you
show.
do?
In my show.
Oh,
yeah.
in your show. But
Yeah.
did you have one growing up?
I did. So I
Growing up.
Growing up. I'm done.
Are
I'm
you
done
grown?
I'm done growing up. This is as good as I get. I'm also a beatboxer. So
that's it.
I grew up playing in jazz bands. Cal Bennett, who's family to me, an amazing saxophone player,
Right.
would put me on stage with him and his band, and I would beatbox in their band and be musical with them. And so that was
Beatbox. Do you have
Yeah.
to take lessons to know
no.
what
You
to
have
do?
again. My parents never said be quiet, so I just had the luxury of being noisy in the
So,
house.
you know, somebody doesn't teach you what to do.
No, I don't think I've ever. I think. I mean, theater. Yeah, I learned.
No,
as
but
I
I
got
meant
old. But
beatbox.
beatboxing.
I don't understand it.
You can teach it. I mean, I teach it to kids
you?
and adults. Yeah, but I think you have to have an interest.
Is it timing? A lot of it?
It's timing and breath control.
Oh, and breath control.
Because you're sustaining your breath and creating percussive sounds using your lips, tongue, and cheek.
I see.
And a lot of it is just holding your breath.
Okay, so how did
Yes.
Tell Me I'm Pretty
yeah.
get started?
It's a great story. So last year I wrote a show that essentially was me getting on stage and complaining. That's what the show was. And my director at the time, a gentleman I was working with named Ben Davis, said, look, you can't get on stage and weep for the audience because nobody cares. So you have to figure out what the conversation is between you and the audience. A solo show is a dialogue between you and the audience. So what's the dialogue? So I had to go back and rewrite, and I wrote several different drafts.
Oh,
that
interesting.
came,
It came out of this.
Yeah, that came out of just workshopping with a friend of mine.
Whining and complaining.
Yeah, I just wanted to
look at me.
vent that. My life is so bad.
I'm
and I
beautiful
just,
now.
Exactly. Tell me I'm better, you know.
Oh,
so
that's great.
So that's what the show was, and it morphed into what the show is now. And Diana Wyan, who's my current director, and I have been working together for a year on this show.
Diana Wyan is great.
Yeah,
she's wonderful at marketing.
She is.
And she's a great PR person.
She's great.
And I don't know, it must be a really good producer because here you are.
Here I am.
Right.
Luckily, I'm here, and she's a kick butt director, and so we've got this fantastic show that talks about gender and race and economics,
Poverty
through the comedic lens, and uses music and storytelling and beatboxing and monologues to paint a picture of these very hard topics to talk about.
How much did you research?
I lived it, so I feel like for me, it's all very vulnerable, honest storytelling.
Do you incorporate things you see on the street?
Yeah, I incorporate things I see on the street. There's a piece in the show called Hood that is about the environment that I live in, about the things I see in the neighborhood and people I experience, and
so that's really real.
Everything in the show is real and honest.
Did you write it?
Mm-hmm.
Did she write it with
I wrote
you?
it. No, just written just by me.
And what kind of music?
It's funk and hip hop and rock, and there is one piece that's very musical theater style.
And is that music telling the story
It
along
is.
with it, along with what you're doing?
Everything in the show cohesively tells the story of identity in America.
You're in a black box, so to
I am in a
speak.
black box,
Right?
metaphorically and literally.
So tell us the name of the bootleg.
The theater's called Bootleg Theater. It's on the corner of Alvarado and Beverly Boulevard.
It's great, and it can be done. Anything can be done with that place.
It's
do you
an
have
amazing
stadium
space.
seating for this? Or
We
not?
we do. We do have rise seating and it's a.
So your stage is low.
Our stage is low. Mm-hmm.
Right. I mean, you're flat,
Yes.
and the audience goes up.
Exactly.
And what about lighting and
We have
costumes?
the wardrobe is picked by myself. Just it's
Like what you're wearing?
Like what I'm wearing right now. And
Because your shirt is great.
thank you. I love this shirt. I like flowers.
Yeah, it's beautiful. So would you wear this on the stage?
I wouldn't wear this shirt on
you
the stage
wouldn't,
because I
oh.
sweat really easily, and this would just be drenched by the end of the show.
How long is the show?
The show is about 1 hour and 30 minutes.
Wow, so you're on stage the whole time?
There's no intermission. It's just me constantly moving and going crazy for 1 hour and 30
So
minutes.
do you interact with the audience
The
at
whole
all?
show is to the audience. So
Do they talk back to you?
sometimes they do. And
What
then
happens?
I
What do
tell
you
them to
do?
be quiet, and I keep going. One of the pieces is specifically directed to them, and they interact with me, and I ask for their response.
Oh, so there is this interaction.
Mm-hmm.
What kind of style does Diane Wyan have in
As a
directing?
her gifts as a director is definitely surrounding the idea of making sure the artist's words are heard and revealed. So she's very good at realizing what the show is supposed to be, what the message of the show is, and making sure that that's clear and prominent. So she doesn't necessarily go into the show with a vision. She reads the script and lets the artist speak for itself.
And that's what you were doing.
Yeah.
You worked with Joe Kolsky.
I do
who's
work-
an old friend of mine.
Joe
I love
Hernandez
Joe.
Kolsky is one of my best friends, and
We love him.
he's great. We've been working together for 15 years now.
Because I think I've met you before, or I've seen you
Probably.
on stage
Yes,
with him
yeah.
at the Kirk Douglas, probably.
Maybe.
Was it Kirk Douglas?
Maybe Kirk or the Miles Playhouse, which
Maybe.
is also in Santa Monica.
Maybe, but I think it was at the Kirk Douglas. I was sitting next to his mom, who's not with us
yeah,
anymore.
she passed away.
And she was telling me that's my son, and he's so wonderful. So I love that.
When he watches this, it's going to make him cry.
But I know, but he knows I love his mom. Loved his mom.
She's awesome.
The other thing, when
Yeah.
you did this, what is it? Something on TV?
I don't know. Probably, yes.
Did you do something with Joe on TV?
Yeah,
These-
we did a web series together called Pocho Joe and Silverstein.
Because he's Pocho.
He's Pocho.
Joe.
Pocho Joe.
Pocho Joe.
And I'm Silverstein. And
Do you write it? Or
yeah,
is it all ad lib?
It's written and then we ad lib. So the writing is kind of the base for it, and then we improvise a lot in the show. We shot 6 episodes of that. It's our take on a news show.
So what happens when you're shooting that? You just have a permanent camera and you guys just...
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, the camera.
You don't have a camera person?
We do.
Oh, you do?
We do for that show, and he shoots, and we just go. I mean,
I
that's
see.
the luxury of us working together, is that we kind of know where the other one's going.
I kind of thought it was funny because you turn to Joe and you say something like, "You're not going to work out because I have a dad bod."
Oh yeah, because I'm.
What is that?
Well, a dad bod is
a dad bod.
A dad bod is when you no longer can do sit-ups anymore because you've watched too much Netflix, and so
so you're just
so you just kind of have a bit of a couch potato. And but dad bod is now in style. So ladies like a little belly on their men, which I do have.
So where will Tell Me
I'm Pretty
go from that?
Our goal is to tour it. I mean, we love the show. It's a great show. It's very poignant. It's very funny.
Like, where would you go?
I'd love to go to New York,
I see.
or even up north to the Bay, or to Seattle. I mean, we'll take it anywhere. Wherever audiences want to see it, we'll take it.
And so who does that? Diane?
Diana and myself are kind of in charge of that.
Okay.
This is
Hear
independent
this.
theater.
Right?
It's up to us.
Okay. So we hear that.
Yeah.
We hear that, Josh.
We got to do it ourselves.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do it.
Yeah, we're gonna do it.
Thanks for being with us.
My pleasure. Yeah.
Don't go away. We'll be right back with director, actress Katie McLean. Hi, I'm Joan Quinn, and welcome back to the Joan Quinn Profiles. We're here at the Hollywood Museum, and our guest is award-winning actor, director, writer Katie McLean, who was born in Los Angeles and raised in Orange County. She studied at the Art Students League, the New School, and the School of Visual Arts. She's been in films with Peter O'Toole and Steve Martin. She's worked on the stage in New York. She's appeared in award-winning TV movies, as well as being a filmmaker who's garnered awards for her short films. But I'm sure you know her, first and foremost, for her Emmy Award role in 1990 of All My Children, and her second Emmy in 2004 as The World Turns.
Yes.
So, how do we sum this all up? It seems like show business has been your life forever.
It absolutely has. You know, my mother was an artist, painter. She studied the arts, and so anything went in our house. We had a guitar around, we had a piano, we had art supplies. We were allowed to act, to pretend, to write. Everything was you know, was game, free game.
And it started early with you, Free Game, right?
Yes.
How did it start? In advertising?
Well, when I started professionally, I was 9 years old, and
pretty early.
well, I even started before that because I may not have mentioned this. I was in the Guinness Book of World Records when I was 8 years old for being a part of the largest number of tap dancers ever assembled doing one routine. It was right down here in Anaheim. Did it at the big football stadium, and it was fantastic. And I was in the front row.
How many? Where'd they get them? All over schools from
of
dance
all
schools
ages,
came over?
all abilities, but we were all dancing the same routine at the same time.
It was the same routine?
Yeah, so it was about 500, 600 people. Yeah, it was a blast. It was so much fun. It was so 70s. Such a 70s thing to do.
Tap classes?
Oh, just the little local places, you know, down in Orange County. And I just loved it. I was a ham. What could I say? You know, it's a natural ham.
So that was perfect. So then that led into commercials, I guess.
Yeah, I had a friend that was in my class who did commercials, and I was like, oh, I want to do commercials. I want to do those too. And so my mom sent my headshot up to Iris Burton, who's a very, very big agent here.
Right.
Do you remember her? Yeah,
yes,
she's the big children's agent. And I went to my first meeting with her, and she said, let me see your teeth, honey. And pull your ponytails down. Never wear that shirt again. Yeah,
she was so tough, wasn't she? I know people tell stories about her like that.
She was tough. She was tougher than tough. And she even later said in a book that was written about her, and I believe this to be true, she said, all of my children are meat, but they're steak. I only take filet mignon, no hamburger.
That was really of the period, wasn't it?
Yes. And if the kid walks in and they don't have that strength in their eyes, I'm not going to take them.
She knew.
Yes,
but she did make people, didn't she?
She did. She did. And she took me, you know, for
were
whatever
you,
reason.
8 or 9 at that time?
I was 9, and at the time I can't say that I knew what my inner strength was, but as I got much older, then I realized, well, she did see something.
Did she help put you in certain directions?
You know, she sent me out on theatrical auditions. So My Favorite Year or Pennies from Heaven, St. Elsewhere Cheers, all of those things.
Way then?
Yeah, would never have happened if she hadn't been, you know, or St. Elsewhere. She pushed me, you know, for those projects.
Did you take acting classes then? Did you start taking acting classes?
I didn't. I was
never.
Not until I was 15. And I really realized, oh my gosh, I think it was on the set of St. Elsewhere, and I was watching these really, really fine-tuned actors, and I went, you know, I think I better study because I don't know what I'm doing as well as they do. So
you realized.
Yeah. So
and you had a part, you had a role, and you were acting.
Yeah.
And you did realize that?
Yeah. Well, a lot of, you know, acting, especially with children, it's interesting. There's an exhibit downstairs with Roddy McDowell where he said, I really enjoyed acting as a child because you're not acting. You're just pretending. You're just being.
In the Hollywood Museum.
Yeah, right here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But he did. He was a child actor too, wasn't he?
That's right, yeah. And he just loved it was an extended experience of childhood because it's just you're broadening your world of pretend. There just happens to be a camera there, you know?
You didn't take acting classes, but you took all these art classes. You were in art schools.
Yes.
Were you going to be a painter?
Well,
artist?
I think what happened was I did study acting. I did study with Estelle Harmon here in L.A., and then when I moved to New York with my mom, I was 17 and I had a play that took me to New York. And I studied art with her. It was a way for us to spend time together because she was completely obsessed with it.
She was an artist,
Yeah.
but you were at the New School, which was art, the School of Visual Arts,
Yes.
which was an art school.
Well, after she passed, she left me with all of these art supplies, and just tons and tons of them. And I didn't really know what to do, and I enjoyed making art. And again, the experience of making the art kept me close to her. You know, painting.
Oh, isn't that great?
Kept me close to her. Yeah. Yeah.
But you knew it, though, because you'd been studying. You'd been in those schools.
Yeah, and I, of course, loved doing it. You know, art is a fantastic experience. You know, whether you're, and I love to encourage people to make art, whether or not they're good at it or not doesn't matter. It's
just the idea.
Just do it. Just play. It's good for your mind. It's good for your heart.
Your singing. Did you take singing lessons?
That I didn't do so much of.
but you were in Finian's Rainbow and
I was.
The Music Man.
God gave me a natural voice.
You didn't have to take because you just sang in those things?
Yes.
So were those Broadway roles?
The first off-Broadway role didn't come until I was an adult. I was 26, 27, and the younger roles were just when I was younger they were just smaller productions. But the first one was off-Broadway. It was a David Ives play called The Red Address. That was with Kevin Anderson. Pam Berlin directed that. It was at Second Stage.
Oh, I love Second Stage. So you were
fantastic.
Were you singing?
No, that was not a musical.
You were
that
acting.
one, yeah, that was just straight up acting.
Could be in musicals because you could sing.
When I was younger, yeah. And then I didn't want to so much. I enjoyed writing music, and I started writing poetry.
Oh, you
and
were.
I did an album and all that jazz, you know. So I wanted to try everything, I guess.
So you were trying everything. What led to All My Children? What kind of role was that?
Well, my mom got cancer when I was 17, and my parents had been divorced, so I was already kind of helping support the family. And then at that point, I really realized I better step it up, and I decided to take care of her full time because she had to take all kinds of, you know.
But what kind of? But that's a role that was full-time role.
It was. I went looking for it. I said, I want to do a soap. I want to do a soap. I want a full-time job. And the only full-time job that you can find in acting, really, at that time especially, was on a soap opera.
And I bet it was hard to find that job.
It was. I did some really embarrassing screen tests for other soaps that I did not get.
Because people must have been thinking the same way you were, like a steady job,
Steady
right?
steady job, yeah. I mean, the economy was fine back then. I mean, you know, late 80s, it was a little wonky,
right.
but it was okay. But the need to get the job ultimately, you know, my will, you know, I guess I have a very strong will when it kicks in, you know, and I wanted to get this All My Children job, and eventually I did, and it turned out to be an amazing experience. I felt like if I didn't get the job, I was going to quit acting.
Oh, really?
Yeah, yeah.
But this helped you so much in your acting career or in your acting expertise?
I think so, because it's the daily practice of it.
That's what somebody said.
You know,
yeah.
and oftentimes too, it's very close to live theater in that we only have like one take. You know, usually 1 or 2 takes, but it's you rehearse and then you shoot, and that's it.
So, what was your Emmy role?
It was for Dixie Cooney. She was this little Southern girl, and she ended up falling in love with a big, wealthy patron of the town who used her to have a baby. Soap opera,
and
yes.
did you have to have diction lessons?
No, actually, I took I watched Coal Miner's Daughter, and I have a good ear.
Right?
Yes,
really?
yeah.
Oh, that's great.
I'm not very good visually, but I can hear really well.
I think my daughter Amanda loved that role. She was going like, "Oh, I love Dixie."
Yeah, we talked about
Yeah.
that. I know Dixie and Tad.
Right, Dixie.
Yeah.
But then, so what happened? Why'd you shift to As the World Turns?
2001 happened, 9/11 happened, and I wanted to prove that I could do something else, some other role. I did that role for a very long time.
But you could, because you couldn't get it on that same show, could you?
No,
to be something else.
You get really pigeonholed after a while. You
yeah.
know, she was the good girl, and
see.
I just wanted to play something else that was just a little step outside my comfort zone, which is just a different show.
So it was a different show, and it was also an award-winning.
I won, and it wasn't easy. Trust me, I was nominated 3 years in a row, and I didn't win. And you know, sometimes I think people think they just hand out Emmys like, you know, candy corn or whatever, but they're very hard to get.
I should have said you were 3-time nominated, and then you won.
That's all right.
What kind of role was that?
She was a bitch.
She was a
She was a
bitch?
bitch.
And the other one was really sweet.
She was a sweet Southern, you know, good-hearted family girl at heart. Yeah.
So when you were working on these roles, did you feel like they were Emmy bound?
I think you know when the writing is really great.
That's what I mean,
and
yeah.
you kind of really go, ooh, I can step up to the plate, you know. But it's never just one particular day. You have to, you shoot week after week of this storyline. You don't really know what the show is going to be, you know, that's going to be your great show until
But
months
did
and
you
months
feel
later.
like those characters were meaty?
Yes, I did. Yes, I did, yeah.
Now you're dealing with directors who are looking for people like you with meaty roles. What's this project? This is kind of interesting, right? You've gone from acting to, you directed for a while, and now you're actually directing a full-length film on women directors.
Right. It's a documentary on women directors. And again, you know, the reason, people ask me, why did you do this? You know, directing is a very lonely job, you know, and I think that I have been, believe it or not, rather lonely in my profession, and I don't like that feeling, and I think that there has been, for women, when you step outside of the usual box of who you're supposed to be, that you get to feel more and more isolated. You have to have a lot of courage. You have to be a very brave person to be a unique person, to be true to yourself, and to suffer the consequences, in a way, of people not understanding who you are. I'm sure you get this sometimes.
I'm thinking about how, I never think about it as being brave, but I guess it is in a way.
I think it is, yeah. Yeah, courage to be yourself, courage to have your vision, to do things your way, to say things the way you want to. And of course, as I'm sure you experienced, you know, in the 50s and 60s as a young woman, you must have seen how people would not necessarily encourage women to be the visionary.
Exactly.
To be the intellectual.
That's true.
Right? To be the person with the idea to step forward.
And to have a woman director is out of the box.
Well, that's exactly it. She is the leader with the voice and the vision, who's guiding a whole room full of people. And
but you've found so many women directors.
Oh, there's tons of them. I mean, that's the thing. I think
so they are in the business.
There's tons of them in the business. I think the problem is that what I've realized is that in our culture we have certain roles that women have been allowed to be in, but we don't have this idea that women can be visionaries. We don't have this concept.
You look at a director as a visionary because they're putting together
they have to hold the whole vision. They're not really the camera person. They're not really the editor. They have to know everything, but they have to hold the whole concept of the whole story and understand every aspect of that. And so it's fascinating. I wanted to meet these women and hear how they did what they did, how they survived the obstacles that they had to overcome, which of course are enormous. You know, everything from just your general bias to
Did you work with women directors?
I've worked with a few on soap operas.
Not that many.
Not that many. I didn't work with any here in Los Angeles when I was a kid.
Is that right?
Yeah. The first one I worked with was Deborah Del Pret in New York. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Oh, yes, I know, yes.
Yeah, and I interviewed her. You know, she was one of the founders of Odd Lot, and really kind of heartbreaking story is that she was a very good female director who happened to be female, and she wasn't able to get the opportunity. So she said, screw it, I'll be a producer. And she became one of the great producers of Los Angeles, you know.
So how are you finding these directors?
A lot of times it's really just through people that I know. My husband's a filmmaker, and he's done the circuit, and I've done some of the circuit, and we just meet people or call people, or I think of people, oh, Deborah, I should call Deborah.
Do you write the script, or do you just go in?
Well, documentaries are really, you know, I'm just collecting empirical evidence.
I know, but do you have a list of questions that you go to?
I do, yeah. It's very much like what you do in a way, though.
Right.
You know, I'm running an interview, I'm asking questions, I'm curious about who people are and why they are the way they are and what makes them tick and what makes them survive, what makes them want to make art. You know, what is the drive, what is the engine that runs underneath them?
And then in the end, you have to put it all together.
Yes.
And decide, right?
That's the hard part is obviously that. But, you know, there's something that has come out through the years. You know, Star Wars, right? They used Joseph Campbell's The Hero's Journey and it really like grabbed everybody. Like, wow, there's really something there. Well, I want to do the heroine's journey. I want to do the girl version of that.
Thank you, Katie.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
And thanks for watching. Keep writing to JAQUINN1 at AOL.com. See you next time.